and the ability to then go through hard times, because if there isn't that sense of trust and closeness, you kind of are going to run away from a challenging situation versus like leaning in and finding a way through together and be stronger on the other side because of it.
Welcome to Shaping the Basin.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited you're here. So you are Natalie Vartanian,
Yes.
Aery Retreat.
Yes.
Tell me about the Aery Retreat.
So the Airy Retreat has an interesting story history in that it actually was built in 95 by a couple that lived in Klamath, and they were very ingrained in the community, therapist, healer, worked with Dragonfly in the community. And they have now both since passed, but my husband had a 30-year dream of owning a retreat center one day and offering healing to the world. And met Sharon, we bought the property, moved to Klamath from the Bay. And so our goal is to keep their legacy going, because they were such a community, like pillars of the community at that time, but also to enhance it because Glenn and I have such unique skills and talents that we bring too. And so, yeah, we want to grow it. We want to innovate, want to offer new things and have it's a place to rent. It's on 30 acres. But also we offer a lot of events and workshops and things like that too, and want the community to be able to know that they have a space. I mean, just to have a retreat center like 25 minutes south of town, is, I think, a bonus, and would love for the community to be able to like utilize the space too.
You and Glenn invited me down and I was
Yes.
able to check out the space. It's kind of neat for people that haven't been there. Can you describe it? Kind of what they would expect out there?
Yes. So it feels like you're out of town in the sense that it's right below the forest, like the BLM land. I mean, we're surrounded by forests. So it's on 30 acres, trees everywhere. You can find deer and eagles and hawks, and we have coyotes and bobcats. And so it's very much like we're on this beautiful 30 acres. But it's also very sacred land in that there was a lot of healing there for centuries. The Modoc tribe used to do ceremony there. There's a registered cremation site there. So the land itself is also just very like rich, and you can feel the energy there. It's very peaceful, very healing. You can find a labyrinth there and a sweat lodge and medicine wheel, and there's a 2-story retreat building. It's like a little house fully equipped for us to do events there. We're planning on building cabins. There's glamping tents, an RV, a dome. So very like rustic, but cute.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just find like, we're kind of like in this beautiful bubble there that is just like this own little world in and of itself.
And I know you guys work with a lot of, both your husband and you work with a lot of different people, but what is your specialty, if you will? What are you really passionate about helping people with?
Relationships and intimacy. I feel like relationships are the heart of everything. They're not just relationships with people, but relationships with our career or where we live or what we do in the world, our passions, ourselves. And so I like to help people have healthier relationships, more intimate relationships. And that's kind of expanded to now Glenn and I do work with couples together. So yeah, love, relationships, intimacy, connection, working together well, like communication, all of those things like really turn me on. And
I feel like there's a lot of people in the world that don't understand what the word intimacy means. Do you think is that true?
yes.
So what is
I do. Because I not like to say it, but I often say we're going through an intimacy crisis because of that. And intimacy to me is the ability to be real and vulnerable and connected and have a sense of closeness, right, with another. Where you can feel like you can drop your guard and don't have to be so defended. You can be vulnerable and real, show the parts of yourself that are actually true to you. and you want to be seen for. But if intimacy isn't there, that safety isn't there, that ability to connect isn't there, and the ability to then go through hard times, because if there isn't that sense of trust and closeness, you kind of are going to run away from a challenging situation versus like leaning in and finding a way through together and be stronger on the other side because of it. So yeah, I feel like we just don't know. We're not taught like at all relationships. I mean, we're not taught a lot of things in school that we should actually learn, like life skills, but relationships and intimacy. Because even as friendships, like we don't learn how to be like really good friends with people growing up. Like, it's just like be nice, be kind, and that's kind of it. But how do you work with a friendship when things get hard or you have a misunderstanding, which is like so common, right? We have misunderstandings all the time, but we don't know how to then get clear and find understanding and work through like that hurt my feelings or whatever.
You mentioned that as an intimacy crisis, and you talked about some of
Yeah.
the ways that shows up. It sounds like disagreements and those sorts of things. But do you have a feel for why? Did we used to be better at it, and our world has changed and worse at it, or have
Wow,
we
what a
always been bad about it?
that is such a great question. Oh man. I think in some ways I do think we were better about it in the sense that I feel like community was much more important before. And so and in some cultures there are the people there, the wise people that you go to help you with those things, right? To kind of counsel in situations that are challenging and you need a third person, you need someone to kind of help you walk through that. I feel like we've gotten so much more individualistic, and that kind of encouragement to do things on your own and not lean on other people and not ask for help. And I feel like that has contributed to that sense of loneliness and not knowing how to then really like need the interdependence, right? Like we went from codependence in like some of those cultures. It is very like it's a community or nothing, right? You don't follow your dreams. You don't like go off and stray. That's kind of the shadow side of those cultural kind of like, but then we went like swung the pendulum, I think, to like independence and hyper independence. And then so we don't know what interdependence looks like. We need each other, like we need other people. And I feel like the farther we've gotten from that, the less good we are at, like working with other people.
I'm thinking about how I'm just fascinated because I don't think about I am one of those people that have always thought of intimacy as between partners. And so, this idea of
Yeah.
intimacy in a community and what that looks like, I'm kind of fascinated by this that you said that because
Yeah.
I agree. I think about like my family in the ranching community, not in in Klamath, but how they all come together when people need each
Yes.
other
Oh my
and
gosh. Yes.
pick up the pieces for each other and raise the barn, if you will, those
Literally and
sorts of things.
figuratively.
So
Yeah.
I kind of want to explore that a little bit. What would it look like if, like, what does community intimacy look like more?
I
I think.
know. Yeah.
What can our people take away from that?
I know. I feel like, and it is interesting because I feel like I'm such a community person. Like everywhere I go, I have to be either part of the community or a leader of it somehow or start a community somehow because of that kind of, I think we all innately want that, like that sense of belonging. I think is such a core need. Like Brene Brown talks about this a lot, like vulnerability and belonging. Like those are kind of these two key things. So for in a community, it's like, how does everyone in the community feel like they belong to the community? And that when they need the community will be there for them, right? And not feel like it's conditional, right? Like kind of moving towards like an unconditional like acceptance and love for all the members in the community so that they all feel supported and seen and acknowledged and loved. Um, I know it's kind of a little more esoteric, or not esoteric, but it's not as tangible, I guess what I'm saying, but I think it's that part of what you're saying, like in a time of crisis, I think that is when we see the gold of a community these days because we are usually doing our own individual thing. But when a crisis happens, everyone kind of like comes together. It's like, what if we could do that outside of crisis? You know, like day to day, we're like there for each other, and boosting each other up so that we thrive together.
So, how does somebody like me in this position or other leaders in the community that are representing groups of people, what are some ways we can do that better?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like I actually do appreciate the way that you've been doing it, even just like inviting yourself to come out to speak with us and see us and what we do. And I think deeper though is who we are as people. I think that's the part is like because I can see the tripwire sometimes of like doing business where we get so stuck in the professional mode that we forget the human mode of it and like really getting to know each other. I really, really feel like people just really want to be seen, and so making sure you see the people in your community that you work with, that you partner with, like get to know them, ask questions. I mean, one of the gratitudes I have is to have coached or trained as a coach, a life coach, because they just like drill it into you to be curious and ask questions. And so many of the people that would come to coaching training were actually managers because it was like, how do I manage my people? It's like, it's less about management, right? It's more about encouraging them to be more strong in what they do or their strengths, like what drives them, what are they passionate about? Like that to me is a great leader that's like really curious and wanting to support you and encourage you and doing the things you love and that you're really good at, you know.
When people come to you for the intimacy coaching, what does that look like?
It's funny because as much as like I say I'm an intimacy coach, the people that come to me kind of are the whole spectrum. People that come to us as couples are very much like we're here to do work on our relationship, right? And that's just very clear and clean cut. But usually people that come to me are because something is lacking and missing and they don't feel that vitality in their life. They're not thriving, they're not feeling turned on. And so we just start working through it. And usually we find kind of the thing like that relationship that is out of tune or they're not like following their own values and they're not aligned in their values. Right. And so kind of my umbrella is like more how do we get you to be more aligned and in your relationships, at your work, kind of like that whole, like we look at the whole life and all the pieces because if one piece is out of whack, it's going to impact the other pieces. It can't help but do that. And so, yeah, I've kind of found that like people just kind of gravitate to me because they're like, you can help me with something. And then we just kind of get in there and we just, then all the things get fixed.
Yeah. And how does I think a word I hear a lot in the world today is vulnerability. You've talked
Yeah.
about that just a little bit, but authenticity too. And
Hmm.
what can we talk about authenticity a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just talk to me about that. What
Yeah.
does that look like?
Right.
How do we get there?
Authenticity is scary for most people because it feels like I have to show you all of my things and I can get hurt. I can get judged. I can get ostracized. I can, I feel like when people think of that word, their knee jerk reaction is like, don't do it, because it's scary and it's going to kind of get me in trouble somehow or bite me in the butt later somehow or something like that. Right. Um, and I would encourage that if we're not being our real self, then we're actually not going to feel fulfilled and feel like we're living our values in the world, right? We're kind of just putting up a mask and presenting what we think you want to see, right? Versus this is who I am. This is what I believe in. This is what is important to me. And to be transparent about that with someone versus guarded versus like, I'm calculating what I'm going to say, and it's so subtle and it's so innocent. I don't even think it's not like, I don't see it as manipulation. I see it as just this very subconscious way that we try to keep ourselves safe. Right. And that's why vulnerability, it's like, because that part is scary. It's a courageous act to be vulnerable enough, to be open and exposed enough to someone and feel like they're not there's going to be positive response or intent back.
I think the part about being scared and showing up that way, I can definitely see that. But do people ever struggle with knowing who they are authentically? Or do you think it's really just about having
Oh,
the
no, that
courage
is
to?
no, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, you're right. Because there is so much of the time, because we do mostly do the masks, there will be that also that flip side of like, I don't know who I am because I've been putting up the masks so long, because I've just kind of been doing what culture says or society says or religion says. And again, not that they're bad things, but like we kind of take it on and we don't self inquire. I think that's why I love having a retreat space and doing the work that I do, because like we're encouraging you to figure out like, who are you? What does make you happy, right? Like what do you need for you specifically, and not mom or dad or sibling or partner or your job or society, whatever. It's like, no, that's a really good point. Like it is that journey of like actually know thyself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you work one on one with people,
Mhm.
but you also, when you talk about retreat, I imagine people together
Oh,
doing
group.
work
Yes.
together. So do
Yes.
you do both of those
I do.
things?
Yeah. So I've been coaching and also doing group work for 15 years now, I think. And I love both, because there is a very special thing that happens when you just are with one person, and you can go really deep. You're not as kind of self-conscious about other people or the group. But there is something very special that happens in group, because it is that back to that thing of like belonging and doing it together and as a community, that you just start to see yourself. You're not as alone, right? Like you start to see the themes, and it's like, oh my gosh, these are things we all struggle with. Like most of us don't know who the heck we are. Most of us are just trying to like get through the day and like are confused as shit and, trying to like figure it out. You start to see that, and there's like a empathy, there's a sense of like understanding and compassion, and we need those things. We need it from more than one person. We need it from like a group. And it starts to feel like, oh, I'm not as alone. Then there's a bonding that happens like when we do group work, and when I do my women's groups, like I do one every month at the Aery for free, because I want women to come together. And honestly, Heather, like this is gonna make me cry, but like most of the women are like, I feel so alone. Like, even though they have friends here, even women that have been here like most of their lives, are like, I've been isolating a lot. I haven't been reaching out. I feel really alone. I feel like, I don't know, like they just, isolate. And it's just so sad to me, because like as soon as they're with other women, it's 2 hours. Like by the end of it, they're like, I'm so glad I came. Like I just feel so much better already. Like they're connecting, they're talking, like there's a levity and like a hopefulness again. And it's just so simple, but so meaningful.
Mhm. So I'm really curious about the group work because I am an introvert.
Yeah, me
And it
too.
sounds very scary,
I
right? I'm
know
like,
it
what are you going to make
is.
me if I came?
What are you gonna
What
make
would you
me
make me
do?
do? And what do I have to tell people? Like, I don't tell me it's not that scary.
It isn't that scary. No, it's not. Because the way I frame a group is, you are here for whatever you need. And if you are here to grow, that usually requires you to stretch a bit out of your comfort zone, right? But only you know where your comfort zone is. And we never want you to stretch past the growth zone into like overwhelm zone. And that is that part that's just like, it's too scary. I shut down or I get quiet or whatever. Like only you know where that line is, And so it's always an invitation. It's always an invitation. Like you don't ever have to do anything you don't want to do. And I will always say, like, especially if we're doing a group share, you don't have to share with the group. You can wait until we're doing more like paired, because then I'll break people out into pairs, because I get that some people don't feel comfortable sharing in a group. Like they might have to come 4, 5, 6 times, right? Before they feel like, okay, I'm ready for like the group to hear me, versus just like a one-on-one kind of situation. So It is really, I mean, that's also the job of the facilitator, right? To be able to read the room and read the people and read their level of comfort and try and help them either feel more comfortable or do whatever feels comfortable to them.
How long have you been?
It's easy to get lost. Don't know which path to take, what to post. In the social media jungle, video is king. Your kids are obsessed, your customers are addicted, we're all hooked, and social media sites prioritize videos. So when you're ready to stand out from the crowd, reach out to 40 Deuce Films. Feeling over everything.
2017, so 18 actually.
Is it something you knew you always wanted to do?
I don't think I ever thought I would do group work. I actually didn't think I would be good at it because I'm an introvert too. It's like I can be on a stage because you're all out there and I'm just doing my thing individually and then I can leave. Where group work feels like it is much more intimate, like back to the intimacy thing, right? It's like we're in this together, even though I'm the facilitator, like I'm still a part of the group. Because if I put myself too high above, that's going to feel like a power differential and like it's going to create a wonky thing in the space. It's very interesting. Like the more group work you do, you realize like there's a level of you kind of being with them, in it with them, that creates a sense of safety versus like I'm up here talking down at you and, seemingly judging you and trying to fix you. Like it's an art. Facilitation is an art.
Yes.
And so no, I knew I wanted to help people, but I thought it would be more therapeutically. That's why coaching, and I got into coaching. But what got me into coaching was actually workshops, and that was group work, and that was really deep, like personal development, transformational work. And when I saw the facilitator, it was one of those I want to do that one day, and just still not thinking that that would be my life, but. I think it's just like we all have those moments where we see something, we're like, that, but it's a journey to get there. Yeah.
Was there a reason or why that kind of specialty? Why the intimacy in relationships? Was there a specific thing that drew you to that?
Oh, yeah. That actually started in high school.
Oh.
That started in high school. It was like me and my best friend, and we would talk about things, and she would always come to me with her like relationship things, and then I would kind of like counsel her. And so she started calling me Dr. Ruth. And so that would be our game, like in high school during breaks. There's just like, okay, is Dr. Ruth in? And I'm like, yep, sit on down. Tell me all of your relationship stuff. And all of my friends weirdly would come to me with their like relationship stuff. And that just kind of kept going. And so when I got into coaching, first class, they're talking about like designing your alliance with your patient client and, so you could be a good coach to their issues. And I use that time to be like, how could you design in a relationship? And I just like started seeing everything they taught me as like, how can you apply this in love and relationship? And it just kind of spun off from there. And I was like, the thing I've been passionate about actually really since I was like in high school, I was like, oh, I know how to work it now. Like, I know how I can actually like help with that in a much more defined, powerful way. And so, yeah, it just from 2010, I just was like, I'm a love coach. And I would help women like that wanted to find their partner, find their partner.
I think when we had coffee the other day, I said, "Oh, like matchmaking is," and you clarified it's not quite like
Yeah,
matchmaking.
it's not quite. Yeah.
But tell me what you mean when
Yeah.
you say you helped people. How
Yeah.
did you give me a couple of examples of how you helped them?
Yeah. A lot of it was helping them really get clear on what they wanted. Because I found most people that date just date and then they hope they'll find someone that they feel a connection with instead of getting clear on like, but what do you need in a partner? What do you need in a relationship? And most importantly, like, how do you want to show up in that relationship so that you don't feel like you're losing yourself? Because I hear that so much too of like, we get so enmeshed or I put so much focus on my partner that like, where did I go? I lost myself. And so it's like really helping a person get clear on those things and then also helping them release any fears they've had from past relationships, because you're just going to drag that into the next one if you don't deal with it. Like whatever went wrong, whatever didn't work in the last relationship, like really looking at that and working that. And so that you don't repeat that pattern. So it's both like past work, present work, and future work, like getting them ready, like helping them get ready for a relationship, like the skills, the tools, because no one's ever 100% ready, but you can get ready. Like you would get ready for a job. Like you would go get educated, right? You would get training. You would do all those things. I'm like, but we don't do that for relationships. Like we just like pray to God that we're going to like do a good job and then just jump off the cliff. And I'm like, we could do better.
I think we assume that I think there's this concept subconsciously or something where we just assume relationships are going to be easy. You meet your person and you just click and everything's fine after that.
Right.
But relationships are work.
I know. It's like such magical thinking. And I'm a magical person, but that's like some real magical thinking. Like I'm just going to like know what to do and it's going to be great. And they are work. Like any good thing, it requires effort. Like any good thing, it's going to work you too, And to me, the hope is that the relationship itself, like the vehicle of relationship, because I think of the relationship as a third entity. There's you, there's me, and there's what we create together, our relationship, right? And for me, a good relationship then like grows me, grows you, because we're required to like give of something of ourselves that we wouldn't if it was just me. But yeah.
So how I'm thinking about the women that I'm friends with and how we talk about it. I do think that and this is probably true for men too, but I don't know that experience. But we lose ourselves, right? We're a wife, a mom. Some of us are also working. So how do we keep our own identity as well while we're also all of those other things?
Well, I feel like you have to have the buy-in of your partner first, and if that wasn't there in the beginning, to me, it's like, okay, then you need to redesign with your partner to be like, hey, I struggle with this. I'm finding myself losing myself in my marriage, in our marriage, in the rearing of the kids, in even my career, right? And not knowing how to like juggle all those things together and myself, I feel like that transparency back to that vulnerability of like, I have a tendency to do that, or it's happening. Like I've had to do that with Glenn and he knew that it was like in the beginning, but I was just like, wow, it is a powerful force, right? Especially as women, we want to help and care for, like it's in our DNA, it's like biology, like pulling us toward these things. But I had to share that with him really vulnerably. And like, I need your support in that, like I will do my best. But if you notice that though, like to wave the flag and be like, hey, noticing you're doing that thing again of like forgetting yourself, so that's one part of the equation. I think the other part of the equation is doing that self-work and getting support. Like to me, I enlist the support of my friends so that they can also wave that flag when they see me doing that. And they've called me on it a couple of times, like, oh, where's Natalie in this? Like, where's Natalie in this? And so like that kind of support, and then professional support too, of like having a therapist, having a coach, having someone that you can work those things out with, and or like heal the things that have you do that, which for me, it was like, I'm the oldest daughter, in my family. Like I was trained to do that. I was trained to think of everyone else in the family and not me, So how do I unlearn that? It's like an unlearning process too.
Interesting. So talking about the retreat itself, I mean, that is, we've talked about a lot of things, but that is also your business.
Yeah.
What do you hope for the future for Airy Retreat?
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of beautiful ideas and visions, and I know that we'll make them happen because Glenn and I are very ambitious people that also care about the community and care about people and care about wellness, like people being well. But like just next year, we're wanting to do more events, like more workshops, more women's workshops. Actually, we've been chatting and with Natalie around like how do we have like women leaders events, more events throughout the year, so that there's just like opportunities for growth, opportunities for learning, opportunities for healing. We're wanting to do more like weddings at the property because it is such a beautiful venue. And they used to do weddings out there. Like Sharon and Robert used to marry people out there and do weddings out there. So again, there's part of that, like continuing that legacy of doing weddings at the space, corporate events, team building exercises, things like that. Because it is such a beautiful place to like get away and bring like your team, and have team building kind of experiences. So yeah, we have a lot of ideas actually for next year. Like I've already started filling out the calendar of events of like things we can do and get the community involved. I still do my monthly women's groups. Glenn does a monthly men's group. He's actually probably going to start another one for 50 plus because he's realizing like older men kind of need their own space because they have a unique set of things that they're working through and going through. So yeah, it's exciting. Would love to just get more involved in the community too for me. Like I have a soft spot for the women, and so I'm just like, how can I create more events and spaces and offerings for the women of Klamath?
Mhm. How long have you guys been in Klamath?
Oh, it's three years this year.
That's fun. What's been your favorite thing so far about Klamath?
Like I've just never lived in a small town. And I was telling Glenn yesterday, like, I really love the small town. There's just been so many things, especially like my mom passed this year and it was like back to the community thing, right? Like the community just swarmed in, and in the most beautiful way. Like hospice was amazing. They were angels. Like I just feel like the warmth and the support and the community experience here, I just have never experienced it before. And it's just I love it. I love the topography. Like we say it all the time. Like we live in one of the most beautiful parts of the country. And I have been to a lot of the country. I've gone on like 3 different RV trips around the country. Like I've seen a lot. It's just so beautiful here. The land is so special here.
I feel like that too. I say often some places have a feeling.
Yes.
They have a
yes.
feeling. And I do feel like Klamath has a special feeling.
Yeah.
Unique aura or so. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah. And I mean, just being so close to Mount Shasta, I mean, there's so much lore around the mountain, but even take all that aside, like it is just this magnificent structure, like this old volcano. We're like in volcano land, like there's like things rumbling under the surface, like, esoteric or not, like we're on like a hotbed, and it just like there's an energy to that I think is very like activating. And for some, it might be a lot of energy. And for some, it's like waking things up. I think like people, I feel like healers come here and people that want to be healed come here. People that want to like create things come here. It's interesting. Like I'm very interested what the next like 10, 20 years in Klamath is going to be like.
I'm excited to
Me
see what
too.
that is like too. We'll have to come back and talk about that.
I know.
Years
Wait
from
for
now.
another interview in 10 years.
10 years
we'll
from
follow
now,
up
we'll
on
follow up
the
from
state of
there.
Klamath. Yeah.
Well, I will put, we're getting to the end of our time. I'll put
yeah.
the information on how they can learn more about Airy Retreat. I think you're also an author.
Yes.
You are. How many books have you published?
Actually, I'm getting ready to publish my first one, and it's been a 10-year labor of love. Like anything they say about writing a book in like a month, I'm like, I don't know who these people are, or a year. That is not me, especially because I'm writing about my life. It's a memoir about my sexual healing journey, like how I came to love that part of myself, to heal all the shame around it, to feel more empowered around it, to feel safe like in my body and all of that. So I'm lovingly calling it a self-help erotica memoir. And the title is From Taboo to Turn On, and how I reconcile that within myself. And both because I've seen it in all the people I work with, like all the people I've worked with around their sexuality and healing that in and out of relationship. But mostly it's my journey.
Yeah.
Because I feel like our personal stories are actually what inspire the most. And so talk about vulnerability. I'm just like,
I was
my
just going to
God.
ask that. Was it hard for you to be that? Well, that seems like a very vulnerable thing to share with
Yeah.
the world.
Yes.
Was that hard?
Yes. And I feel like I'm a pretty open book person. Like I feel like I more than the average bear am more like an open book and share and don't have shame around those things. But I think the writing it down though, memorializing it in a way and knowing like at some point it's going to be out in the world for like millions of people to be able to read, that part is still a little scary. And just like anyone, we don't want to be like judged and criticized and like, so there is that part I have to reconcile in myself of like, it's okay. It's not for everyone, and I'm not writing it for everyone. I'm actually really writing it for the people that need that inspiration or healing or to feel not alone or permission. That's who I'm writing it for. I think anyone that does art, it's like we're doing it for the people that are gonna like get it, be moved by it, be touched by it, right? And so that's why I'm writing it. So it's gonna be one of many books, but I don't think the next ones, I hope, won't take 10 years. So like, I would like to write many books. So I'm hoping it's just like this first one because it is such a personal like book.
It feels like when you get that one out of the way, the rest of them might be easier to accept putting
Right.
yourself out there.
I mean, because they use the analogy of like childbirth a lot for publishing a book. And I mean, I've heard, I haven't had physical children, but I hear that like the first one is the hardest. And then after that, it gets like kind of easier and easier. So I'm hoping like that part of the analogy will translate too. Like,
Well, that's it. Because we're getting to the end of the time, I wish I had asked that question a little bit earlier because now I have follow-up questions. So we'll have to come back again.
Part two.
Yeah. But just in ending, I have some questions I kind of ask everybody.
Oh yeah, I love it.
If I gave you $250,000 to make a difference in our community today, what would you do with it?
Oh gosh. Food, women's health, and housing. I feel like those are the things that I feel like I would want to really shore up and create more resources around.
Great answer. Yeah. Do you have a role model?
I have many. My current one, Mackenzie Scott. She is the co-founder of Amazon. And since she left Amazon, she has buku bucks, and she's basically made it her life mission to like give it all away. And so she has her own kind of organization too. 80% of it, they just find things like historically Black colleges and universities or women's health initiatives or things like that. And she's just finding people doing amazing things and just giving that. And then there's a percentage, I think, of people that apply to give that money away. But I want to be a philanthropist. I want to make millions of dollars and give it away.
I love that. We had Billy Red on the podcast.
Oh.
And he's a local person, but I invited him on because his whole, like, he wants to give $1 million away in his lifetime. He has a normal job. I mean, he's not like Mackenzie Scott.
I love it.
But he said that he found him and his family. Anyway, it was a fascinating episode.
Oh my gosh. I will go back and yes, I will now.
It's kind of interesting his how they came to decide they wanted to like give their money away instead of saving it, basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, because honestly, I'll end with this, like having to go through a death of a parent, especially my last parent. It just really makes me realize, like, you don't take any of that with you when you go. It's like you really realize what's important. It's relationships. It's being there for people. It's how they remember you, And I do. My mom, we used to joke that she was the Armenian Red Cross because, like, if there was someone in need, she would help them, And I'm so grateful she passed that on to me. And I don't care about money in that way. I care about it because it's a beautiful tool that can do a lot of good in the world. And that's why I want to accumulate it, is to redistribute it. Yeah.
I think That's a beautiful way to end. I really appreciate your time
Thanks,
today.
Heather.
Thank you for coming in.